So hey everyone, welcome to another day of the vlog. Just starting out my bike for the evening. This morning I did a hour recovery run. Trail's not yet ready, it was muddy, very muddy. But I mean, it ended up being good because it meant that I had to run slow. And then went over to the pool, did an hour swim. So it's kind of like what I said a few videos ago when I first started the Project 360 thing, saying that, you know, I didn't want to lose touch with that upper end and all those gains that I made with Project 400 and kind of that VO2 max 5-minute power and very high-end power. So tonight I'm actually doing pretty much the same workout that I did a number of times in the past, just 10 times a minute at around 480 to 500 watts in that range. So very high-end effort. And yeah, it's the exact same thing, except this time I'm adding in at the end of it a 5-minute effort at Project 360, so at 360 watts with tired legs. So I figure it's kind of, you're taking the component from that last little phase with the high-end power and now adding in just one more little layer to it, which is doing just kind of super threshold power, being able to do that on somewhat fatigued legs. So we'll check back in, see how we're getting on with things a little bit later. We got 2 left. It's going okay so far, I'd say. It's not fantastic. I don't know what's going on. I have like such a dry mouth right now, it's ridiculous. Probably just not good hydration through the day. I don't know. But got like cotton mouth here. I can't. Last one's 490. Alright, so here's the interesting part now. See how this goes. Trying a 5-minute effort now at 360. So there's a good amount of lactate probably in the legs right now. So this has got to be truly aerobic, really. That was 372. All right, that was a good one. Didn't feel good, but it was good. Hit the numbers. So after this, I'm just gonna chat a little bit about warm-ups and how I like to warm up for bike workouts in particular. Like how I structure, specifically, how I structure the warm-up for these harder efforts. So, touch back in a little bit, just cool down, then I got some strength, and then we'll chat. Alrighty, so I thought I'd just talk a little bit about how I warm up for some of these harder workouts, how I get ready for some of these harder efforts. And just kind of the theory behind it, and this is kind of my own theory behind it, but I mean, it's quite common for a lot of people, but in case you don't know, in case you're new to kind of creating your own workouts and things like that, maybe this will be helpful. So I'm just here on Zwift, but you can kind of do the same exact setup on Trainer Road, kind of to structure things. So the way I like to think of it as is you need to warm up two systems prior to the workout. You need to warm up the aerobic system, so kind of your heart and lungs, and you have to warm up kind of your muscular system, so your muscles and joints, okay, prior to that workout. So I say before most bike rides, I recommend doing kind of, and I'll link it in the description, kind of a off the bike type little warm up. It's almost similar to the warm up that I showed you previously. I'll link that as well for running. But then once we're on the bike, here's what I like to do. So I start with a very gradual warm-up, okay? So I'm just going to put this in here, okay? Usually around 10 minutes. Now, I'm not going to, don't hold me to the amount of time or anything like that. Just, it's kind of like the general principle, okay? So I start out with some light spinning. Zwift has this kind of gradual ramp-up. I do like that ramp-up quite a bit, and I'll keep it in here for this. You could just start with 10 minutes of just easy spinning otherwise, but I do like the kind of ramped little warm-up. Kind of gets starting out from very easy, kind of progressing to like zone 2. So nothing crazy, okay? Then what I like to do is I like to throw in what I call a warming effort. So I like to do around 2 minutes. Could be anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. Now, what this warming effort is targeted more at aerobic system. So this is why I keep it in that zone 4, as you can see here. So it's around threshold. So here's actually a little bit under threshold. But I like to think of this as a warm-up for your aerobic system. Now, you could, if you want, after this initial ramp, you could throw in a 1 minute or so little effort, or 1 minute or so little recovery from that ramp, in case that's already pretty hard for you. But I like to kind of I'll usually just go straight into it, so I'm going to get rid of that. So yeah, very easy ramp up for about 10 minutes, and then a warming effort. That warming effort, like I said, is targeted at the aerobic system, so it's not really hard from a muscle perspective. It's more just trying to get the blood pumping. So it's warming your lungs, kind of getting them ready for the work, getting your aerobic system ready for the work that's about to come after them. So that I usually do about 2 to 3 minutes of that, and then I give myself just a little tiny recovery after this, normally about the same length as the warming effort. And then what I like to do is now a warm-up targeted at the muscles. Okay, so I'll throw in an interval like this, and I'll make the efforts around 20 seconds long and around double the amount of recovery. Why? Because I'm not really going after really getting lactate in the system here, but they're going to be high-end efforts. So let's just put this at 450. And that's what I like to do. So I do 20 seconds on and 40 seconds off 4 times through. And so that's at a high power, so they usually end up being maybe sometimes like 480 or something in there, in that range. But it's more targeted at the muscles now. So, and then we're giving a decent amount of recovery so that we're not like by the end like absolutely dead. Okay? So this, like I said, we do, so just to review, we start with a easy 10-minute gradual warm-up, and then we head into our first warming effort. This warming effort's around zone 4, so just under threshold, and its target is warming up the aerobic system. After that, I give myself a little bit of recovery, normally about the same length of time as that warming effort, and then I head into activation type efforts, and these are more targeted at the muscular system. So these are more targeted at warming up your muscles and joints for the work that's at hand. In order to do that, we need to do it at a high power and a high intensity, but not so long that that ends up being a workout in its own right. No, ends up just being warming up the muscle just before the point that you're going to start getting like actual lactate or anything like that being produced. So 20 seconds is a good amount of time for that. Some people can do 10 seconds, some people do 15 seconds. I like 20 seconds. Okay? And then I give myself 2 minutes or so after that. Again, also very easy intensity, so zone 1. And there we go. That's a 20-minute warm-up. And then you can do whatever intervals you want or anything like that. But that's kind of how I structure things. So there's a huge amount of ways to warm up and stuff like that. And I've done all sorts of different warm-ups. But over the last, I'd say, 2 months or so, this is kind of the pattern that I've been following, and I've been able to hit my numbers almost every single time right from the get-go. It's not taken me 2-3 intervals into the bike to start hitting the numbers. I've been able to hit numbers and feel good right away, and this is the pattern that I've been using for that. Like I said, this isn't the only way, though. There's a billion ways that you can warm up. I've seen so many different things that people do. I'm just saying this is how I have been doing it, and I find this pattern to be very effective, of doing a 10-minute very gradual warm-up, very easy, and then a warming effort, zone 4, just to 2 to 3 minutes long, just to warm up the aerobic system, a little bit of recovery after that, about equal the amount of time of the warming effort. So the warming effort here was 2 minutes, so I give a 2-minute little recovery, and then I go into some activation efforts to now warm up the muscles themselves and get the muscles and joints ready for the work at hand. And so what I want to do here is I don't want it so long that we're going to be developing lactate, but I want it to be a high enough intensity that we're really kind of putting a little bit of a stress on the muscle, and going to get it ready for the efforts to come. So they are going to be high power efforts, but not so long that you're going to be developing those fatigue metabolites and stuff like that. And then I give a couple minute recovery post that, and then boom, we head right into the intervals. And like I said, these last couple months I've been hitting it right from the gun. So that's the pattern that I like, and I'll continue using until it stops working, and then I'll try something else. So anyways, if you have any questions on that, put a comment down below, and we'll get some discussion going. I do find warm-ups very interesting for discussion purposes because, like I said, there are so many different ways to do it. And there are so many different ways to get ready, that accomplish the same goal. This is just one way, and it's the way that I've been doing it. Anyways, so that's today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.